that they need to update anybody on? Oh, there's Councillor Rock now. Okay, then we'll move on to the next one, which is to confirm the minutes of the meeting held on the 9th of January. Confirm the minutes first, and then we'll go on to matters arising. Are you happy with the actual minutes? Anybody want to propose the minutes? Yeah, and I'll second them. So are you all happy that the minutes be accepted? The matters arising, that's 3A. Anybody got any questions that they want to ask about the matters arising from yeah.
Mentioned the community hub being set up, and Stephen Norris.
But it won't come into matters arising. It'll come under, or will it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. In that case, matters arising. Please update us on the climate hub. Let me just go through the. So it's the. Can't remember exactly where it was, but please just update us.
Okay. Right. I think I've managed to work this microphone, so hopefully you can hear me. So we have, as you know, been looking for a building in the town centre for a long time to turn into a climate hub, with the idea that one of the best things for climate action and for climate communication is to have a physical space in the very core of the town where anyone walking by will encounter this, rather than just encountering the actions and issues on websites, which are rather optional, and you don't necessarily experience it as part of your daily life. We have now signed a lease for a year. It's a meanwhile lease, so we, in theory, can be turfed out with 20 days notice, but we don't think that's going to happen. The landlord has, for his own reasons, it's likely we'll be in there for a year. He's appealing an application that's going to take a year, basically, and it's not worth him getting anyone in there in the meantime. So because of what he's thinking about, it is likely we will be there for, nearly a year, around that. So we have this building on Mere Street. It's number 30 Mere Street, if you know the street. It's, it's just down from where the Citizens Advice Bureau used to be. It was Edward's estate agent, if you knew that. We've got the downstairs shop area and also 2 upstairs floors, which are a bit more spacious because it carries over an arch. So we've got shop space and we've got office space. We've got a good shop window, and the downstairs space will be a space which we can use for a kind of drop-in centre, so people can come in, there'll be information up, we'll have activities on there, we'll be looking to get people in for specific activities as well as having general activities there. We'll have computer displays, we'll have interactive games or interactive programs, and we'll have artwork. It'll hopefully be nice. We won't be installing a specialist coffee system. There's enough coffee shops in the town already, but we will be able to offer people a cup of tea. We also will have upstairs office space, potentially a meeting room, although accessibility is an issue. So, we've only got 1 flight of stairs and we don't have an elevator or anything. So if anyone's got accessibility issues, then there's limits to how we can get people up there. But we have office space up there. We'll be looking at doing some co-working there. So we might be hiring rooms out to people. We might also just be doing some hot desking for specialists who are involved in climate related issues, people working in various relevant organisations. So we might set up a kind of co-working events where people in that same area can come and work together, but also talk to each other in the breaks in the day. So that's one thought. But one thing in particular that we'd like to do is to use it as a space to display council actions, council activities, council action plans, potentially in the form of maps, but potentially in any form, So I just want to come along and just, raise the issue, let councillors be aware of this, and ask the council to think about how you would like to present some of the things you're doing. Do you want to develop some specific leaflets? We still need to look at the space that's available for this, so poster space, how much space is there for specific things? There's a lot of competing information we could potentially put up there. But, there might be space for posters, for computer programs, things like that. So, yeah, I just want to put that out there. How would the council like to present some of the things it's doing to the public? And how would you like us to get back to you?
I'd be very interested in, and one thing that occurred to me was we are going to be doing something with Big Green Week, and it's something that maybe just being able to promote the fact that we won't be the only organisation that's doing that, the RSC and various other bodies. But again, it's just promoting. Please do continue to have conversations with officers here at the District Council. It's something that we may be able to build on, month by month. Obviously, if you were there for more than a year, we'd even longer to build on. But yeah, we'll see what It's exciting times that you can get to people. I noticed that, for example, when we do work in Ulster, we get to people that the council can never really get to, and of interest, and that would be. And then, could we also ask that lessons learned, in a way, come back? Because if we ever want to support anybody else that's going to do this, wherever in the district they are, we'd love to learn the kind of lessons and how difficult it was, but what you actually did. It would be really interesting. Councillor Rock, you've got your hand up.
Thank you, Chair. Can I be heard?
Yeah. Yes, you are.
And just an idea in response to the speaker. I didn't quite catch everything, but it does occur to me, Chair, we could readily produce posters and graphics through our graphics team, reflecting the actions we've got within our work plan, and particularly how people can apply to the Climate Change Fund, albeit we're on the first tranche of that now, and what we're proposing to do with investigating, the various things we've got on the stocks. Clearly the headline thing is what we're doing with the waste trucks, but there's a list of things that we're doing, and I'm sure we could readily produce those graphics that would help the ambience in the facility as well, because I think we're pretty good at producing things that have got a nice appearance as well.
Thank you for that. We'll approach officers. It will obviously be up to capacity, but I think whatever we can do, we'll try our best to do what we can. So thank you for that update. Are there any other updates? Manuela, do you want to kind of come in at this stage? And then Councillor Crump as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Stephen, for coming to tell us about this exciting initiative. I think it's important for you to be here and kind of continue to build that partnership with local authorities in the community, to contribute to the community hub. And I wonder when is the open day of the hub, and whether the climate change panel could come and have and visit the kind of physical hub and meet volunteers.
Well, I think at the moment we're talking about opening to the public at the end of this month, maybe the start of the next. But once we've got a few posters up, which will be the next couple of days, we might be, we'll see when we feel ready to invite you guys in. But we're already inviting some people in to give out their ideas and just look around the space. So I think, if we're talking about working together and getting, some of your graphics and so on in there, we'd be happy to show you around a bit sooner than public opening. So we'll be in touch about that.
And if I bring in Councillor Crump and then Councillor Petrovic, okay.
Yeah, that's really good. It's really positive. Again, I think if we can signpost to one another's organisations to help one another and get the message across to as many people as possible about all the services available. And you did say you got the kettle ready, so when the climate change panel came, we'd be okay for a cup of tea. Was that okay?
Yes, that's fine.
Councillor Petrovic.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Stephen, so much for coming and sharing all of the updates. And just a quick question from me in terms of the programme of activities, and obviously there's already so much that Net Zero is doing. I was just wondering if you already have any ideas for collaboration, working with other organisations, in addition to obviously the council.
Yeah, quite a few. I would really like to get the eco groups from the schools involved, so I'll be talking to them. Other local groups that are involved in the climate area, obviously, we'll be talking to them. We'll probably be looking for sponsorships, so I've been developing a bit of a list of people. Sorry, my throat's gone a bit. I think in terms of the display, we'll probably be having a cycle of activity of months, so monthly displays. Local artists, art groups, will probably be working with them. One possible theme for the display will be on food, which we've talked about in the past. So it would be really good to meet up again at some point if we decide we're going to do that, and go over what you're doing, what we can display in the window. And I'm sure you'll have contacts that you can give to us to help with that as well. So, and other suggestions, I suppose. Acton Energy, we work with them. The list is long. So, but the idea is to get as many organisations involved as possible.
Thank you very much. On the other matters arising, does anybody want to raise any of the others? I mean, I'd just like to say thank you to Ellie for all the work she's done, particularly on getting the climate change fund up and running. And you know, so many of the other things that are on there. She's worked incredibly hard. So you know, and we've got the Big Green Week is as an agenda item. Is there anything else that you want to raise, Councillor Hatch?
Is that we have any? Here we go. Could you update us on the uptake of the Climate Change Fund, and also any idea when the next round may come about?
Just having the technology coming. Hang on just a minute.
Okay, no? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we've had a really good uptake for the Climate Change Fund. We've had 27 successful expressions of interest. So they have been invited to submit full applications, which we've set a deadline for the middle of April. All applicants have also been sent some kind of resources and alternative funds as well, because we are oversubscribed. So themed packs, basically, that say for their particular theme what other community funds are available, to try and kind of maximise the kind of reach of it. So yeah, we've had a really good uptake. It's been really successful. In terms of when the next round will take place, I don't know. I suppose that conversation is probably one to be had over the next couple of months as we kind of go through the process, because obviously we've still got to get the full applications in, appraise them and everything, and then we'll probably regroup on that then. But yeah, really good response. I think we're all really, really happy with kind of the reach that we've had with it.
And it'd be really good to get some feedback from the first tranche as well, and make sure that the process, see whether the process can be improved and what lessons can be learned. But it's really interesting. I think the ones that I've heard about cover quite a scope, from quite small projects to some very ambitious projects. So it would be really interesting to see what comes. I can't remember who came first, but Councillor Crump and Councillor Petrovic, in that order, probably is what I can see on the screen.
Thank you for letting the oldest one go first. So that's really helpful. The one thing that Councillor Curtis raised that I think it was the cabinet, not the one who's gone, the one before, about the matters arising, and it was to do with, and I agree with him when I think I've raised the point as well. It's to do with the timescales associated with some of the projects, and some I totally understand that they are quite flexible and we're still things are being developed. But if we can get some timescale or indicative timescale of when these things are going to take place, that's going to be helpful for us as councillors to tell our residents. And the point about the second tranche of the climate fund is going to be helpful as well. So if the people haven't been able to have been successful, can apply again, or new people. And any idea how much it was oversubscribed by? You know, were we putting 50,000 out and we've had £150,000 worth of applications? Again, if it's not available, if that could be found and distributed to the rest of the panel at a later date, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy for the next panel to bring a bit of a kind summary paper, if that would help with the themes and how much we were oversubscribed by and that kind of detail. In reference to the timelines, we're going to be looking at getting a strategy together over the next couple of months with more specific timings for kind of all the work streams that are going on across the council with climate change and the environment as a focus. So again, as anything happens in that space, you'll be kept up to date.
Councillor Petrovic and then Councillor Manuela, both together.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick follow-up on the Climate Change Fund. I was just wondering whether there is a deadline for when the projects need to be delivered that are successful. And then the second question was around another matter rising, the response to the Climate Action Scorecard, and whether that is something that we will be responding to. And I know that in the agenda it says that it's May 2024 expected. Is that when the deadline is, or that's when we need to have a decision on whether we are looking to reply or not?
Are you happy to answer that one straight away?
Yeah, that's fine. Sorry, Councillor Petrovic, can you repeat your first question? I've forgotten that.
Yeah, sorry.
About the scorecard.
Yeah, sorry, there are two different.
Oh, the deadline about the fund.
So yeah, for the projects delivered, so successful projects, do they have a timeline until when do they have the funds for, and if there's a deadline for when they need to deliver the projects by?
That was the end of the 2025 financial year, so 24-25, and that was to allow at least 2 seasons of tree planting, so that if we do get any successful tree planting projects through, they have the opportunity this autumn and winter to make sure that they've got everything that they need to have in place before they can deliver that. So it's to try and make sure that they have plenty of time. The scorecards, we haven't heard as of yet. I think that the deadline for the right to reply for last year's was the 15th of May. So I think we've expected that the deadline for the right to reply will be the same again, but I haven't heard anything as of yet, and they're usually pretty good at getting in touch and giving us a heads up as to when that's going to happen. So no progress has been made on that as of yet.
Councillor Patrick.
This is just an observation on the on some of the projects. In my ward, one particular project that tried to apply, and Ellie is aware of that. It's there is this conflict between new green technology and retrofitting and solar panels and planning regulations in conservation areas. So, and it was the specific case of a village hall wanted to explore solar panels, but in a conservation area, they would probably needed to apply for either a lawful development certificate or planning application or a full planning application. So obviously that's added financial issues before then they apply to the they apply to the climate change fund. So that's something just to keep in mind, that we have these, I would say, maybe conflict in some areas, especially when we talk about solar panels and conservation areas. And I don't know how we can support our village halls in that way. Thank you.
I think these are the kind of some of the issues that we need to pick up as part of a report about why some things went through, some things didn't, why some things were successful, maybe some less. So we need to pick up those kind of lessons learned as we go through. Now, moving on, we've got the Big Green Week. Unless has anybody got anything else on any of the other matters arising issues from the last agenda, we go forward onto the number 4, which is the Big Green Week, and that's just to kind of have an update on the Big Green Week that is being planned for 2024. Do you want to kind of do this, or is it the councillors that are involved? Yeah. Councillor Hatch and Councillor Pertigena, are you able to just kind of have a quick update on how far and what you're actually, how far you've gone and what actually you're doing and planning?
Do you want to go first, Manuela, and then I'll fill in if...
Yeah, shall I just it's just a summary. So obviously, as matters arising, also point out we're still looking for volunteers from this lovely panel to help us with the event. So the Stratford District Council led event, facilitated event, is still a community event, but will be facilitated by Stratford District Council, is wrapping up the Great Big Green Week, and is going to happen on the 5th of July. And it will be the full day from 10 to 5. There is also a climate-related event at the RSC. So Olivia and I are going to meet with the RSC next week to see how we can collaborate. So we'll come back at the next panel and possibly be able to present a final draft of the program, and is really about local engagement, and will conclude in a way the Great Big Green Week. Will mark also this event will mark 5 years since Stratford District Council declared the climate emergency. I think that was July 2019, and so we hope they will showcase progress and plans. Residents can also feedback on the climate change plan, and also best practice in the district. And we look forward also to further actions involving everyone. And of course, now the climate hub as well, hopefully will be part of that and be referred. So the main aims are to promote community engagement with action for climate and nature across the district, including schools, to provide a springboard for more action, and also to showcase local best practice. And of course, perhaps some of the receivers of the community climate change fund might want to come and show what they're doing. And is going to be structured with the plenary. There's going to be exhibition stalls as well. So we are in discussions with various stakeholders and community groups and other tiers of government. And then we will have we will have different workshops which in a way reflect the main areas of the Climate Change Council plan. And Olivia, would you like to talk a little bit about the areas that we're going to explore?
Yeah, so Sorry, the workshops that we've outlined cover business, food, energy and housing, biodiversity and river health, community action, climate adaptation, waste, transport and schools. So I think that covers all the areas that the district have. I know they don't have influence over transport, but so we're hoping to get somebody from the county council, and obviously we have influence over active travel. and so the idea is that members of the community could book on to each of these different workshops, and they'd all each be an hour long, and there would be an officer or some decision maker in each workshop. So the plenary at the end will have some discussion of what has come out of the workshops and hopefully a springboard for some more action. So that's where we've got to at the moment. But as Manu has said, we need to combine with the RSC, so we haven't got anything in pen yet.
And just to kind of update other members of the committee, the two councillors have had a meeting with the Deputy Chief Executive and with Ellie as the Climate Change Officer. So they've all been kept informed, and the date is booked. It's in my diary, and I'm volunteering to help on the day. Okay. So that's an update, and please keep us informed because time will pass quite quickly. And we really got to, there's a lot to deliver. It's already March, and that's not too far now to July. Manuela, Councillor Pertigella.
Yeah, so we're hoping to bring the final, the program, the final kind of structure to the next panel, and we will share it obviously before with the members. But if any one of you has an interest in a particular area that Councillor Hatch has just listed, come and talk to us, and we can then allocate you to that area, and you will be able to help and assist on the day. Thank you.
Councillor Petrovic.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, so I just wanted to put my hand up. I've already spoken to Councillor Hatch, but I would be very pleased to chair the workshop on food.
Thank you very much, everybody. That's good to see that it's all coming together. Just we say, all bear in mind, that time flows very, very fast. So, we just need to keep the pressure on and get it all fully arranged. And because you need to advertise, you need to give lots of time for people to get it into their diaries. So please, I thank you very much. And moving forward, next item is the fresh food strategy for Stratford and South Warwickshire. And we're going to have a presentation here from Rosemary Collier from Warwick Crop Centre on the local fresh food strategy. Welcome to this panel, and I look forward to your presentation. Over to you, Rosemary.
Thank you very much. So actually, I'm passing it over to my colleague Richard Napier, because I wasn't sure I was going to be here this afternoon. So he's prepared, or we've prepared something that Richard's going to deliver.
Okay, Richard, over to you for your presentation.
Yeah, so I've got a few slides I'm going to share now, and hopefully you can see that.
We can see that, and it would be appreciated also if we can have maybe copies afterwards. It would be appreciated as well.
Yes, of course, we can send copies in. That's no problem. So yes, you've just read out the title of our project. This arose because Rosemary met with some of your colleagues there, Councillors Hatch and Petrovic, and at the same time, a small amount of money became available within the university with the Regional Infrastructure Fund. So we put in for this project, and it's run out of our Warwick Crop Centre, which is at the Stratford Innovation Campus. So it was suggested that we just give a little, I know some of you know the campus quite well, Wellesbourne Horticultural Research International, all sorts of different names it's had in the past. So
yeah, I was there this morning, and I know the Warwick Crop Centre and the HRI well, because I used to work in crop genetics, so I'm really looking forward to this.
Yes, so we've been there since 1949, so this year is our 75th anniversary, and we'll be inviting you all to come and see us on one of our open days, also in July, actually. Later, I'm sure that invitation will be put together. So for those who don't know it quite so well, our science has evolved with the times, and of course these are the current areas of expertise where we have science ongoing around around the site, around Warwick Crop Centre, and of course within the rest of the University of Warwick. All of these listed there, and I don't need to spell them all out, all of these, of course, are changing as rapidly as the climate and with the climate. And so there's a relevance to what we do on food production, particularly on vegetables, of course, that resonates with the activities that your net zero plans are going forward with. And so it's serendipity, I think, that things came together at the right time so that we can perhaps help you forward some useful policies and in a well-informed scientific way. So as well as these very much science-based interests, we have on site the United Kingdom Vegetable Gene Bank. So this keeps an enormous repository of natural variation that crosses our major vegetable commodities. So that's a nationally funded resource that's on site, funded by DEFRA. One of our newer activities is Warwick Agritech, and you can see a picture of a robot spraying some plants on the right over there. And Warwick Agritech is a new fusion of interests between us in the Crop Centre and WMG, which is a part of our engineering school. And of course, they have been enormously reinforced by the activities working with Jaguar Land Rover, Tata Steel, and so on in the past. And they bring that enormous repertoire of expertise from the automotive industries, which the West Midlands are so good at. But they're now saying, let's have a go at agriculture. Let's see if we can help take our robots out of a factory and into the field. So we're very keen to be working with them on that, and that should help us a great deal. And then really where we're relevant to this community today is that Rosemary and I in particular are looking at how we can influence food policy in the country, particularly with our focus on the expertise in fruit and vegetables or fresh produce. So that brings us very nicely to the project that we're working on now. This is, as I said, it was a short project. The opportunity arose at very, very short notice, and so it may not have been the most perfectly formed, but I think it will work very well towards the ambitions of the council here. So we aim to identify, summarise and analyse information that will underpin the development of a fresh food strategy for Stratford-on-Avon district and South Warwickshire. And you can see I've already mentioned Olivia and Letty are helping us. But we've also already had an enormous amount of help, actually, from a number of different councillors, including Ellie, who's sitting beside you there. And that's been really useful because we know there's a lot of information that we didn't have before, but you did. And of course, there's no point recreating that. So what we're also aware of is that you already have a number of policy or strategy documents. And again, we didn't want to recreate or change these unnecessarily. They're listed on the left there. There's your economic development strategy, your net zero strategy, the Warwickshire food strategy, and so on. But what we have done is we've mapped the ambitions of our project against these. And so perhaps the most important one is that pink one, top right. We hope that what we'll be able to do is to help you increase local access to and consumption of fresh food. And I should say at this point that fresh food, although I've mentioned fruit and vegetables, for this particular project, we're also looking at primary production, farm production, so animal production, poultry production, as well as fruit and vegetables and arable. So all the primary areas, just because it would be incomplete not to map them all. So opposite to that, lower left, of course, we'd like to increase the production of fresh food, which leads to that one at the bottom. We want to look at it, trying to improve local employment opportunities. And all of these hopefully will be in a way that's informed so that we make a positive impact on net zero towards the effects of climate change. We also want to, of course, at the top there, enhance rural landscapes and biodiversity. So hopefully that's a positive sign on your side that we're working in the right direction. So these then are the activities that we wrote into our project plan, and I have to say they do map quite closely retrospectively as it happens, because we had to write this very, very fast, but onto your policy documents, your strategy documents at least. So we're going to map the distributions of producers and consumers of fresh food in the region, taking into account access to food and food insecurity, which I know you already do quite a lot on. Map jobs and other opportunities in the fresh food industries, as well as the support structures for them. We're going to, of course, benchmark these against other regional and national projects which have developed food strategies, and look to whether or not there's a reasonable scope for setting up a localized food system, whatever that might look like, or perhaps informing what that might look like. And then a part of the project, which is with WMG, with our SME group, the Small Medium Prize Enterprise Group, Business Development Group within WMG, there is an accelerator scheme for mentoring local businesses to try and encourage those new people into the fresh food production industries, or let's help them build their businesses together. And of course, we'll report at the end. So this is just to show how well we think the project maps against some of the priorities around the county already. The bit in green there is one of your sustainable choice priorities. And this, of course, brings us directly to climate change, which we didn't focus on. We focused on fresh food strategy. But of course, this does map across to how we address some of these climate change issues. So we have those objectives there that what we do hopefully will lead to reduced greenhouse gas emissions, for example, and support biodiversity. So just 2 slides then on the sorts of data we've collected already. So we have a lot of data from you and other sources, national sources from DEFRA and the Office of National Statistics. And so we know how many people live here, we know their age brackets, and we've also mapped onto that what the ideal diet, healthy diet, would look like. And that's taking into account children that eat differently than adults and so on. And so this little graph that's put in here shows in red what those recommended daily needs are for the best healthy diet. And as we all know, we don't eat enough fruit and vegetables, and we eat too much meat, because the blue bars there are what we actually currently purchase. So, but for milk, it's more balanced. So we'll collect more data like that. And then we're looking at where all these things are produced, how much there is in the region. This is in the Stratford area, but you can see that the map in the bottom right-hand side here, that is the area that we're considering, which is that definition of local food, which is 30 miles. And we've just taken a central point of the South Warwickshire area to centre that 30-mile radius circle on. So that little map there already is plotting the registered dairy producers in the region, and of course we can do that but we will be doing that for many other types of primary producers. So we'll know where everything is produced, and whether that can inform, for example, where forestry might go, well, who knows? That's something for us still to determine. And then on the other side, we of course looked at jobs. The graph here, without reading all the details on the data we have here, the graph is showing that fewer people are being employed in the agriculture sector. Although the data was quite flat to start with, it's definitely we've lost people employed in the agriculture sector over the last 2 years. And we've also lost the number of businesses that are registered in agriculture. We would like to see this reverse, or at least to stabilise, to reverse. And so some of our work will be going into how we can support that. And part of that will be this accelerator scheme, which we're working on with the WMG. So that's a summary of where we've got up to now. I kept it brief so you can ask questions. We have if you want to ask any more questions, put other people in contact. Rosemary will be our primary point of contact at the Stratford Innovation Campus, and I'll stop there for now.
Well, thank you very much. I've got lots of questions about how we can link together. For example, we recently had the Rural Shared Prosperity Fund, and it was difficult getting some people to apply, but we're trying to advertise more. But it did occur to me that, for example, small farm shops, that small businesses could be funded through that, and there are other schemes as well. So we can link in not only what you're doing, but also take it further through that kind of route. there is a lot of that we could do with parish councils that have allotments. We've got community orchards, we've got community fridges. It's not only what you want to do now, but we can link in into other actions as well. So I'm really excited by what you've outlined, and I do hope we can get something really good going from it. I've got Councillor Crump and then Councillor Rock who want to ask questions.
Yeah, I'm saying thank you for this. It's really, really positive, really interesting. One thing, obviously, lots of people are still struggling with the cost of living and buying food and buying fresh food. And we often see in supermarkets where there are special offers, it's normally on chocolate or things that are relatively unhealthy. Says the person who's really got a sweet tooth, and I have to be careful what I eat. So I think if we can try and work with schools, communities, and try and get as much fresh fruit and veg into people's diet. Sometimes working with communities, the allotments, societies, and things like that, I think that's really positive. And I do think the positive benefits of allotments, particularly for men's mental health, is really, really positive. So yeah, I think it's a long-winded way of trying to make how we can get the appropriate diet, especially for young people, to people that's affordable, bearing in mind the cost of living crisis. And we know, like you say, farming people, I've got quite a rural area, my county ward, and we know that people are not going into it because it's not considered to be, for want of a better phrase, attractive. I can't think of a better phrase, but I think you know what I mean. So yeah, just some thoughts on that, please. That I think we do need to. People do realise the benefits, but sometimes it's the choice of buying some food that is cheaper but relatively unhealthy, and then they can potentially pay for their heating, sort of thing. Slight extreme example, but I think you get where I'm coming from. And apologies for the long question.
Okay, if I bring in Councillor Rock, and then I'll bring in Rosemary to perhaps wrap up some of those questions and what she's heard from myself as well. Councillor Rock.
Thanks very much. Well, I'm involved with the South Warwickshire Local Plan, which is a forward-looking document, and your last few points alluded to the sort of drop-off of activity in the agricultural sector. I don't think I'm giving any secrets away to say, well, the South Warwickshire plan making, like all planning making, is horribly complicated. Huge amount of data trying to be pulled together and to filter it down. But at the last meeting, it was pointed out we're working our way through housing numbers. We're working our way through amount of economic development land, which generally speaking is manufacturing, warehousing and all this sort of thing. But the point was made is, well, we've got an agricultural area as well. What are we doing about that? And it occurs to me that you've probably done quite a bit of work, which it would be helpful to collaborate with our policy team on. And there may be a mutual benefit here, because you have got some data about the trends in agriculture and land use, which we could draw upon and possibly help in the South Warwickshire Local Plan to avoid that a loss of farming. And we've got innovative techniques coming along which Stratford district might be able to lead on, and if we could leverage that through those activities. So I think if officers could help put you in touch with our policy team, and we get a bit of a collaboration going there. It's early days in this particular aspect, so I think we've got an opportunity to do something. So I don't know how we do that, Chair, but if we could get officers to be talking to this team, I think that would be really useful.
Okay, if I bring in Rosemary Collier next, and then I'll come to Letty Petrific afterwards, if you don't mind.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So, I mean, I put my hand up to respond to your comments about collaboration, but actually they're relevant to what Councillor Rock has just said as well. And I think for a discussion about policy need to involve, I guess, organisations that can bring in producers, potential producers, and look after them. So the Warwickshire Rural Hub is certainly a body that could maybe facilitate, assist with that, and also the National Farmers Union and the local branch who have been helping us already with this study. So I think they need to be involved in the discussion. I mean, with regard to, I guess, the issues around people's preferences or not for fresh produce and the price of fresh produce, it's an incredibly complicated topic, and it is I mean, it's part of a national debate, and although, you know, you wouldn't believe it, there is also a national debate at the moment about how badly a lot of the fresh produce companies are doing, and some of them are leaving the area, so orchards, fruit production, things like that. So there is, you know, that there are certainly things that can be discussed at a local level, but there is also this big national debate at the moment, which hasn't been resolved.
Yes, indeed.
Sorry, Rosemary. Sorry,
right.
Rosemary, for asking another question.
I'll bring in Councillor Petrovic first, and then Councillor Crump, I'll come on to you afterwards. Okay.
Thank you, Chair. I would really like to thank both Richard and Rosemary for this wonderful presentation and all the work that their team has done so far in this. And I just wanted to kind of echo what Councillor Rock was saying, and maybe just referred to the fact that we have actually spoken to Ellie, and she's been really helpful in trying to direct us to the right areas that could potentially help us incorporate some of these findings into the South Warwickshire local plan. So I don't know, Ellie, don't want to put you on the spot, but just wanted to maybe see if you could share what some of those mechanisms might be and what we might kind of do with the findings once the project's finalised in March.
Ellie, do you want to come in?
Yeah, I can do. Just to say, when I got in touch with planning policy, I think there was a staffing change. So it might be worth me getting back in touch with them this week. I think the initial thought was a bit kind of broadly around what Councillor Rock was saying about the importance of kind of embedding any data and any kind of findings of the strategy within the local plan, but obviously that would need the involvement of development to kind of say what would be the best mechanism for that. So if I get back in touch with planning policy this week, and then we can kind of go from there with it. But yeah, I agree, it's important to collaborate.
Yeah, I mean, as climate change starts to hit, some of the heritage materials, the seeds and fruits that you have at HRI are going to become increasingly useful, and perhaps if we can spread, you know, about some of those heritage. I've got heritage apple trees in my garden, but I'd like to be able to kind of make sure that other people know about them. And other, I love the old, some of the heritage carrots, and I used to work on potato species was my speciality, which is probably not quite so exciting as carrots and apples, but just being able to make sure, because as the climate changes, they're going to become more and more valuable. So, and I think some people are quite interested in growing those, you know, across the area. Maybe some farms are going to have to adapt what they grow quite rapidly in the next 10 to 20 years. Councillor Petrovic.
Yes, I would like to thank Richard and Rosemary as well for coming to present to us this important project. And I also wanted to highlight that Councillor Petrovic and I have submitted a motion on tackling food insecurity in our district. And the motion clearly asks for food justice and food plans to be part of the climate change action plan of the council, so to be an integral part of it, and actually also to have food justice policies, including accessibility to fresh food embedded in the South Warwickshire local plan. So I think what the motion will be has been referred to cabinet. So I'm looking forward to come and see the debate at cabinet.
Thank you. Councillor Crump, you want to come in?
Yeah, I think there's lots of things there here that obviously from in terms of economic development and supporting local businesses, I think farms could be behind the list, and potentially some bid from the Climate Change Fund to help them adapt to the changes. Obviously, we've had the wettest February in 258 years. I've got the flooding portfolio at the county, Rosemary, so I could say I've been deluged with emails, but we won't use that pun, will we? But I think that, we can adapt. And again, if you want us to help, I think the Climate Change Panel, and I'm sure that the leader of the council will agree that if you want us to help lobby in terms of accessibility to fresh fruit and vegetables and making it affordable, I do think we are starting to do these things like the wonky vegetables and fruit, and I think that is really good. And sometimes I think they taste far better than the other ones. So again, it's supportive. I think we do need to be clever. Like I say, we do need to adapt, and I'm more than willing to help. And Councillor Jidd, I need to go now. I've got to go to this fire consultation that I'm doing in Shipston. So many apologies, and we'll catch up soon. So thank you for that.
No, thank you for your contribution, Councillor Crump. Much appreciated, and safe journey. Okay.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye.
Right. Councillor Petrovic, you want to come in at this stage, and then I'll wind up.
Thanks, Joe. Just lastly, I wanted to, conscious that we have obviously Stephen and Net Zero in the room, and we just heard a presentation about the climate hub in town. So I think this is really a great opportunity to bring some of those findings and share the work that we're doing on food with town and the community. So I think if we could collaborate on how we could present that, and potentially, if there is in the future opportunities to bring a food kind of central food hub in Stratford to see whether we can utilize that space as well.
Thank you.
So I think you've open invitation.
I think you've got a flavour of the fact that we're all very supportive. We'd like to help. We'd like to work with you. Obviously, you would have to work with our officers. I'm happy to offer any help that I can give, we'll have the slides, a copy of the slides from you. But we'd like to be able to, have an update as to how it's progressing. And please get in touch with us and make sure that we know what you want to help you with the project. If we can, if you need anything from us, please do get in touch, and good luck with that. I'm really looking forward to it. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much indeed for your presentation. Really appreciated. Moving on to the next item, if that's all right with everybody. It is to discuss the accreditation of hydrotreated vegetable oil, and this will be for Ellie to update us.
Yeah, so I think it was agreed that we would just run past the accreditation of the HVO fuel that has been proposed for use of the RCV fleet past the Climate Change Panel. So just to kind of update you really on what I have to hand from our waste contract provider, I know there's concerns around the use of palm oil. The sourcing of the fuel that we will be using is very clear that they do not support the use or sale of palm oil derived HVO. They will only supply ISCC verified waste derived product into the market. It will be fully RTFO accredited and will have an RTFO certificate. And will be, like I say, will be derived from 100% waste products. It's also worth noting that the RTFO legislation was updated in January to provide stronger protection of biodiversity through the sourcing of any kind of biofuel, whether that be HVO or otherwise, to put stronger onus basically on the fact that there is a risk when we consider any form of land use change, what the kind of land that is being changed is primarily used for, or primarily occupied by. So just to kind of provide some reassurance really that we won't be using any palm oil in our RCV fleet. It will all be as strongly sustainability accredited as it can be.
And also, if it comes from Europe, then the European protection is actually even stronger than the Westminster protection. That has been upgraded. But can I make it quite clear that not only should this be from a waste-derived, secondary materials, RTFO provided accredited supplier, but that it should be part of an ongoing strategy, so that for the contractor to as other mechanisms come about, other technologies come about that are suitable. At the moment, electric vehicles, for example, are not suitable to cover this rural area. The batteries are just not strong enough or big enough. There's been 2 trials. There was a trial in Wychavon, there was a trial in another council, and then they're not strong enough at the moment. But there are other technologies coming around that are being developed, and I know organisations, not only like Cenex and various other organisations, are testing a wide variety of alternatives. And I think if we use this as a way of making sure that that is being considered by the contractors as to that is exactly what other councils are doing. Wychavon, I know, is doing this as an ongoing strategy, but there are other councils that are developing their strategy with their contractors in exactly the same way. So, you know, this priority is waste vegetable oils, RTF, FO accredited, and as part of an ongoing strategy. Is the way that most councils that are operating this field are going. Councillor Rock. Oh, Councillor Stanley.
Yes.
First, and then Councillor Rock.
Lauren was before me.
Yeah, Councillor Stanley first.
Thanks, Nigel. Councillor Rock, sorry, and Chair. I was just wondering, so from somebody who doesn't have much of a background of HVO fuel, and obviously I've seen a lot going on in discussion-wise between everybody in the council. Firstly, could someone just clarify what RTFO means, and then would it not be beneficial to the council to try and find a supply of HVO fuel that comes from the UK using green hydrogen, because surely that would then have that impact for lower emissions? Because if we're then having air miles to bring over, or shipping miles to bring over this fuel, that's then adding to a CO2 emission. Surely that's just my concern, really. I hope that makes sense. If not, I can go over it again. Thank you.
Yeah, the RTFO is Renewable Transport Fuel Obligation, and as Ellie said, it was updated in January, and the RTFO equivalent in Europe is even stronger and has been updated. So it could be European, it could be UK sourced, or it could be European sourced, but they would, if they have to follow the RTFO or the I can't remember what the there's 2 standards, one for the UK and one for Europe. That the UK one is EN something, I can't remember the number, but there is an accreditation standard to which it has to be provided to ascertain and make sure that it is from waste materials, waste vegetable or animal derived. You know, from it could be. We're talking about biofuels that are hydrotreated vegetable oils, but I do know that some people use it from abattoirs for animal fats as well, that can be used in there. And the reason why it is being used is because it can be dropped into to replace diesel straight away without any adaptation, and it is of interest to most people. Most people don't know that if they go to their fuel, you know, to fill up their car now from the petrol station, there's already biofuels in the diesel and in the petrol as we speak. It is already being used to different levels. Some of them 5%, some of them 10%, and again that's been upgraded in recent years. So that's of interest to. We've got Councillor Parker. Do you want to come in at this stage?
Just briefly, Chair. Thank you very much. I feel like a bit of an interloper or gatecrasher. I mean to be neither. I think when I heard the previous speaker talk about embodiment of what she was referring to, embodied carbon within the fuel and how much it is. It would be great, I think, just kind of to be plain speaking, if we could get BIFA to tell us, you know, what is the source to pump footprint of the fuel, and you know, this is not like a pack of dogs hounding anyone down. You know, this is supportive to make sure that we understand where we are and what we're doing, and I'd be very grateful. Thank you.
Yeah, there are already quite a few research papers that are on this, including Senex, which does the research for government, and it did the research for this council and Warwick District Council on electric vehicles, for example. They have all that information, but there are others as well. Imperial College London has done some work because they moved their boilers on and they did the research before they did it. So there's quite a bit of research around. But Councillor Rock, do you want to come in?
Yeah, thanks very much. And in fact, it comes following on what Councillor Stanley and sorry, my brain's gone out my head, but the previous speaker just said. I can't see the boards from here, but the debate at the budget really was about the background information. Now, that was a budget meeting where we were talking about the whole thing, but there was quite rightly questions being asked about this detail, and the officers just read out a sort of statement, and you, Chair, provided a lot of information verbally. I'm just wondering if we can collect all that up together with any information we can glean from BIFA and possibly put an information sheet together that's got this sort of factual, reliable, authoritative information round to councillors to say we are listening to these questions that are being asked, and you know, the questions are not being hounded in a pack of dogs. We're you know, we've thought about all these things on the cabinet. We've asked all these questions. We've asked BIFA to go away and do it. We've asked officers for this reassurance. We think we've got it all. I wondered if we could collect it up in some way and put it possibly into an information sheet or in some other form. Possibly these minutes would suffice. I don't know, but I think we look for a document that addresses all these points that have been made in some way that gives that assurance. I don't know whether you think, I don't know what you think about that, Chair.
Yes, indeed. So I think there's about 50 councils now have gone through this procedure. So there must be quite a lot of you know, documentation around. And I don't want to put a lot more weight on Ellie Warren, but or other officers. But it would be beneficial for councillors to know just how many councils use this material, and the legislation that has come from government, the legislation on RTFO accreditation, and you know, just a little bit of correct factual information. Councillor Parker.
Yeah, I beg your pardon. Thank you, Chair. I agree about not burdening our own officers excessively. And we were at one stage teased with having BIFA come in, and maybe these are the people who should be having their feet held to the fire, and maybe they should produce this briefing document expounding the benefits of the fuel they're going to sell us.
Yes, indeed. And what I think would be of interest with BIFA would be to know their strategy for transitioning. Because one of the things that they do have is a climate change officer, I know that they employ, and it would be useful for them to be able to outline how they see their vehicles transitioning over the next 10 years, for example, or what other vehicles they've tested elsewhere, and why some vehicles are not suitable at the moment, but maybe in 5 to 10 years' time. They will have a lot of that experience because they are contractors to many of these other councils as well, and they surely will have had that experience with testing other vehicles. Councillor Hatch.
And it would be good to know from them that there's enough supply, and if supply became an issue, What's their strategy?
Exactly, and the one benefit is that it can be blended, because that's what's in our forecourts. We've got 5% or 10% in current petrol and diesel, depending on the standard of petrol or diesel. But it would be absolutely crucial to know that there is enough supply, and what would happen if there wasn't enough supply. But that's why we've got to have a transition strategy, because we can't stay on fossil fuels. We've just got to find a way forward that will take us away from fossil fuels. Okay, I hope that is useful. Councillor Pertigella, do you want to come in before we wind up?
Yes, I just would like whether we could have an action out of this discussion, and I don't know what is the where is the best forum, but maybe as an action we could invite BIFA, the portfolio holder for environmental services and the head of environmental services, to come and present to us about HVO. Maybe the climate panel, or and another forum where we can invite all councillors as well.
I mean, we are moving forward on this now, but it is always useful to keep the information flowing. Councillor Rock.
Yes, I think. First of all, I want to apologise for having a senior moment and not remembering Duncan's name, but I think, as was said, a coordination with BIFA, who presumably they're using this stuff elsewhere, for them to put some sort of document together, an information sheet. I think that's what we probably need, because I would like to allay the fears of those other councillors that had reservations about this, with a factual document, as you said, Chair, and without us spending hours and hours when Ellie can't do anything else. But presumably BIFA have got this information, and we can top and tail it. And possibly I'm thinking of an information sheet, but there may be some other ways of doing it. So I don't know if we can ask officers to go away and do that, coordinate with BIFA and produce such a document, and then this panel or the cabinet can scrutinise that document as we go forward.
Certainly, as we really do need an update from BIFA about the contracts anyway, regularly, and this would be, we'd need to have an update on that, and for them to show us not only are they delivering the contract that about recycling and collecting waste, etc., but that they are genuinely thinking about how they will transition their vehicles. Okay. At that stage, unless there's any particular questions, I think we've got an action, which is to, as part of the negotiation with BIFA, that we get some information from them and some actions about their transition and what their strategy will be there. And I think that will be very useful to everybody. Okay, thank you very much indeed. Any other questions does anybody have? In which case, I think, is that the end of them? Let me just, the urgent business. Do we have any urgent business that anybody wants to bring forward to us? No? Thank you very much. And thank you very much indeed for your time, for your attendance. And I look forward to working with the people from Wellesbourne, the Warwick University Wellesbourne campus on the food strategy. I really do. And yeah, please, if I can be of any help at all, let me know. Okay, bye-bye. Okay.
Thank you all. Bye.